The Faith Focus Network has been banned on Facebook for breaking community guidelines. I'm assuming that Catholic bedtime stories about, praying the rosary are considered dangerous to humanity. And what we're unpacking today on this show is we're going to talk about what's been going on with Facebook, but also the public demonization of Catholics and how encouraged and on trend it is. And how even we're going to talk about how misunderstanding or misinformation, how dangerous that is, especially when it's being shared by other Christians or Catholics with good intentions. An example of that would be, for example, if somebody says that Easter was an appropriation of Ishtar worship historically. That is actually not true. That's a lie that atheists were spreading, historically inaccurate. But many Christians and Catholics don't share the proper history. Instead, they hear that, and maybe because they actually don't know the story of Ishtar or that kind of worship, so they don't know how we differ from it, and therefore they can't defend themselves. So then what they do is they try and create rationalizations of that as if it were true. So, well, even if we do, we put Christ in it, so it's okay. And it's like you just affirmed a lie about our faith, which may seem an innocent misinformation to you, but it actually is nefarious, at least in consequence, not in terms of your intention. Your intention was, to justify something that you weren't sure was true or not. But the point is, by you affirming it as truth, you're helping to spread a lie. And so that's something that we need to look at as Catholics and Christians. I think it's really important that we start learning our religion and learning our history so we can defend it properly and truthfully. But let's talk about what happened with Facebook and how Facebook right now, and even Instagram, I just got a warning from Instagram that I may lose my monetization privileges, which, that is a service I've been offering for years. I was an early adopter and promoter of Facebook and have, between my clients collectively, tens of thousands of dollars in advertising I have done through Facebook and Instagram. Now, I've stopped of late because I think I kind of felt this coming. So I've pivoted in other areas, and we no longer, or haven't for a very long time, actually used Facebook and Instagram to advertise. We keep it current because it's good to do that, but we don't spend any more money on advertising. And we've learned to advertise in other areas because we knew this moment was coming, and now it's here. So let me explain what happened to Faith Focus Network and how we got banned. And not importantly, it's not just that we got banned. It's that what Facebook was promoting as viral at the time, that juxtaposition is really powerful when you look at it. So somebody posted something, and this is somebody that I've been very kind and generous to in the past, okay? It's posted something about Catholics that was not only untrue, but it was vile. It was very hateful. And it was a long, long post full of misinformation that talked about how Catholics are bad for the world and basically shouldn't be allowed, which, that's like Nazi talk, right? It had that kind of a vibe, that we were this dangerous to the planet and whatever. And it's not just that this person shared it, which was unfortunate, but it was that it was viral. So this is something Facebook is, promoting, or their algorithm is promoting. So whatever. So I commented on there, I'm Catholic. And they commented, well, I'm atheist. Fair enough. You're allowed to think what you want. I don't think it's kind that you lie, but whatever. And a few other people commented and said, hey, the stuff on this post is inaccurate. And they wrote, it doesn't matter. I don't care if it's inaccurate. I found it interesting. So I commented and said, that's unfortunate. I don't think it's really fair to share lies about someone's belief system just because you find it interesting. That could be harmful and hurtful, and especially to people of that faith, some of whom have been very kind to you, referring to myself. And they instantly blocked me, but people that I know saw the thread, and people were jumping on and throwing gasoline on the fire, saying that I was attacking her and abusing her or bullying her and all this awful stuff, which doesn't surprise me because I've seen, it's a small town and it's easy for things to get around, and I've heard some pretty vile things about Catholics or the hatred of Catholics from some very prominent people in town that are very public with their bigotry. So, and it's been happening more and more lately, so it's very hurtful to me. This is something that's been, paining me greatly. So this thread that was also with people locally was very hurtful to me. I was very upset by it. And at the same time, I had the Faith Focus Network on Facebook where I wasn't talking about any of that stuff. But, I share our bedtime stories. I share the occasional podcast that we do. But I try to keep it non-controversial stuff because I know that the Facebook algorithm, is out for Christians. So I try and keep it as, benign or as vanilla as possible as religious debates go. But nonetheless, about an hour after that viral post about Catholics being awful and whatever, Facebook just unpublished my page and sent me a note saying you violated, community guidelines and your page has been unpublished, and, click here to, to appeal it, but the appeal button doesn't work. I just keep getting that, error message or whatever. So it doesn't even work for me to be able to appeal their decision. So how interesting that my Catholic bedtime stories get banned, but, these viral posts about Catholics needing to be eradicated, that's, all well and fine. And then it happened again today. So yesterday I was with friends and somebody mentioned how, and they weren't mentioning it in a bad way, these people are Christian, how Christianity, many of our practices were appropriated from paganism so that, people would adopt it more. And I said, well, actually, historically, that's incorrect. And they said, no, like, for example, Easter and Ishtar, I said, they have no correlation, that's incorrect. I said, historically, Christians were so anti-paganism and so afraid of having anything to do with paganism, they did everything possible to be as different as possible. So no, I'm sorry, that's historically inaccurate. That was a trope that was started by atheists, and it's not true. And they were insistent on it. And it was like, no, again, this is talked about commonly, but not because it's accurate. And the reason that people talk about it commonly is because Christians have appropriated that lie, because it is a lie at the end of the day, and they're trying to rationalize it as if it's true, just what I discussed earlier, with the intention of, well, if people believe it, let me help them believe why it's okay if it's true, but it's not true. And the consequences of a lie, lies grow. Lies are like a cancer. So to ignore a small piece of misinformation is like ignoring a small tumor, ignoring cancer cells before they become the tumor, right? So that's exactly what you're doing when you're, accepting a lie as truth and then trying to spin the truth. So what you're doing is you're doing a spin job, but you're not actually correcting the error. And details matter, especially as it pertains to history, especially as it pertains to faith and practice. Details matter. And I find that modern day we're getting very loose with the details, and we get very loose with accuracy. And I believe that has dangerous consequences. So anyway, I found some literature online that, disproved the Ishtar thing and talked about the differences and how we're actually rooted in the resurrection has nothing to do, nothing to do with Ishtar, and that eggs and bunnies were never part of Ishtar worship. That was another lie that was spread by atheism or atheist pundits or pagans even that are trying to, fight against a religion that wiped them out. So I understand, their motive for sure, but it is a lie. So I found this proof and I posted it on Facebook. And it was exactly the same meme that I see go viral every single Easter that talks about Christianity appropriating Ishtar worship. But what they did was they changed the copy on the actual image to tell the truth about how Easter was not, an Ishtar worship thing and how it actually originated. And I put it up, and within 5 minutes, Facebook, and when I put it up, it posted also on my Instagram. Within 5 minutes, it got flagged for spreading false information. And then I got a notice on Instagram saying that I would be demonetized. So that's the state that we're at with Facebook and Instagram. So, at first, I'm like, how do I fight this? How do I get things out there? Why am I targeted versus, other people put religious stuff and it stays, so how, how do I fix this disparity? But then there's this other part of me that's like, I'm kind of tired where there's a part of me that's just like, I don't want to throw pearls before swine. These people don't get it. They're never going to get it. I just kind of want to turn it all off and go grow food in my garden since we can't, afford to buy food with the way they're taxing everybody to death, which is maybe what they want. They want everybody so busy scraping by to survive, they're not having the conversations that are deep and abiding and necessary. So they allow the spread of misinformation, especially misinformation that separates people from God or separates people from their faith. Because someone who is ungodly is very easy to manipulate and control. Someone with a firm hold on God has a firm hold on truth, and therefore they won't worship a lie. And right now, Christians are making themselves vulnerable against the very thing that protects them by thinking that appropriating a lie and twisting it with moral ends like defending your faith makes it okay. It's the lie that's the problem. The father of lies loves lies because he can use them to his ends. So what you have to do is champion the truth. So if you know that Easter's coming and everybody's going to be talking about Ishtar, you should educate yourself on the resurrection and on all the ways that we differ from Ishtar worship and how that was a false history being spread by secular people to separate people that are believers from their own faith.